Welcome to the Grit Daily Startup. I'm your host, Sebastian Rusk, and this is a podcast about what goes on behind the scenes at startups. The good, the bad, and the gritty. Let's dive in. Austin Sims, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here, Sebastian. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for waking up early. You're in Las Vegas at the moment. At the time we're recording here, it's 10 a.m. I mean, it's not that early, but what's early in the startup world, right?
Exactly. There's no such thing. It's always on.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's kick things off by helping our listeners better understand a little bit about you, and then we'll get into what's going on in the world of Dayrize and how that all really came to become a reality.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian. Yeah, so we're a startup called Dayrize. We're a couple of years old, and what we've basically built the company around is trying to solve the fact that there isn't enough transparency in the world when it comes to sustainability. So most businesses want to become more sustainable, and certainly most consumers want to shop more sustainably too. But it's really difficult. There's just not the information out there, either for businesses to actually understand their impact and for consumers to shop more responsibly. So what we've developed over the last couple of years is a technology that actually helps businesses understand their impact. We've developed a technology that can assess the impact of any consumer product, and we give businesses a really detailed report on their impact. And then we also create consumer tools that help consumers understand the impact as well, so they can actually shop more responsibly for the first time.
Now you guys create a solution to be able to figure out what is friendly and what is not friendly, I guess, for argument's sake here, environmentally wise. But do you also have a platform where people can actually buy these products from?
Yeah, so we do. So our core business is the technology, and we actually sell that and actually are a B2B business selling that to companies so they can actually understand their impact. But we also have a marketplace as well. So what we've done is we've pulled together the best products, the best sustainable products on the market, and put that in one place so that consumers actually don't need to shop around. They can actually find the best sustainable products in one place. So I guess we're attacking it from a couple of different angles, making sustainability easy for business, giving them the tools to understand the impact of their products and actually reduce the impact of the products they produce, and then making it easy for consumers to shop by giving them assets and tools so they can compare products, and then pulling all those products together onto one marketplace so they can find the best sustainable products.
Well, it sounds to me like you guys really got the B2C and B2B markets cornered with being able to create a solution for both.
Yeah, where we started, and if I think back to how the company started a couple of years ago, myself and one of my co-founders, we were actually having a big debate. We're actually on holiday with our kids, and they bought this blow-up device, and they were in the swimming pool, and we were debating about how sustainable that product was. And where we got to was we actually didn't know. We were just debating a point of view rather than any hard facts. And we realized that there just wasn't enough information at a consumer level. And then when we dove into that and really wanted to understand why, where we got to was the reason why consumers don't have that information is because most businesses don't have that information. They really don't understand their impact. The industry standard for understanding the impact of a product is called a life cycle assessment. And it's a great measurement, but it also takes about 3 months per product and costs up to $30,000. So most businesses just couldn't afford that. So we realized that the problem was a consumer problem, but it really started at the business level. So that's when we realized we needed to make it easier for businesses to understand the impact so that we could eventually make that choice easier for the consumer as well.
Yeah, because you're able to achieve a couple of objectives by utilizing that approach, because number one, there's a gigantic learning curve for consumers anyway. So if you're starting with where the consumers are actually at and where their attention's at and what they're buying, that makes perfect sense. So how did this all begin? Like, did somebody wake up one day and go, you know what? The environment and being aware of what's friendly to it and what's going to contribute to its longevity has been an ongoing conversation for some time, especially as of recent here. But as far as solutions being created on here, where did this all begin and who came up with it?
Yeah, so as I said, I was on holiday with one of my co-founders, and our kids were swimming in the swimming pool, and we got into this debate about the product.
Okay.
We'd both been in business for a while though, and I think as part of that conversation, I think we both realized that we wanted to use our experience to actually create some good in the world as well. And obviously looking at your children, it's easy to think of a future where you want to make a better future for your children as well.
Sure.
So that's where the conversation really started. And I'm not a climate activist as such. I guess I consider myself quite normal or a sort of what we call it, I'm eco-conscious without being an activist. But I realized that there's a huge group that was similar to me that really wanted to shop better, but just didn't have the tools. And most of us don't have the understanding or the time really to really understand and dive deep into each category to try and understand what is sustainable. So I think like most businesses, Sebastian, that you probably talk to, the idea came with a solution for myself and for my co-founders. Like we wanted to actually be able to shop better and to shop more sustainably, and realize that there wasn't the tool on the market to do that. So that's where it started. So we got together 20 of the best scientists, sustainability scientists in the world, and sat down and said, well, why is this so hard? And how can we make it easier? And that's where we developed the technology so that we can actually fast track that assessment and make it a lot more cheaper. So I think I said that the current life cycle assessment analysis is about $20,000 or $30,000 a product. We do it for $60 a product on an annual subscription. So we're really trying to democratize this sustainability and make it such that any business can actually understand the impact of their products, and then obviously convey that to the consumer so the consumer can make a better choice.
Sure. I pretty much asked you the same question twice there, but this stuff's all new here. I love seeing solutions being created and brought out into the world to actually make a difference. I think that the most common thing you can think of, as a consumer, this day and age of doing something to air quotes, do your part would probably be to recycle. If there's recycling available in your neighborhood or where you live, or there's a facility like that's been around for quite some time, as far as, being able to contribute to our environment, what's happening. But now this is the next, I don't want to say horizon or level rather of being aware of what's possible as far as what we can actually do as consumers. So, and a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you finding that still in 2022, at the time we're recording this podcast episode, that a lot of consumers are still completely in the dark about what ways they can show up and do their part to contribute to the environment?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think people are confused because they're overwhelmed with messaging, and sometimes that messaging is conflicting as well. And we looked at things like eco labels, which are great, but there's so many of them that it becomes overwhelming for consumers as well. So what we found is there's a general intent for consumers to want to act more sustainably. In fact, we did research around it, and there's lots of research to support that. But the action is lagging behind the intent. So there's a gap there between what consumers want to do and what they're actually doing, and that's what we really drilled into, which is the reason why consumers are not acting is because they're overwhelmed and confused. So what we're all about is just bringing that level of transparency. So we bring that independent analysis of every consumer product, and again, our business is not about naming and shaming businesses. Our business is really about supporting businesses. We give them an amazing report about their product that tells them where they are doing really well in terms of their impact and where they can do better. I think that's been something that's really been well received by our businesses. So we've only been live for about 6 months, and we've already signed 500 brands. And what's been really pleasing is, when we do go back to the brands and we give them their assessment, and we give them a score, we give them a sustainability score, and sometimes that score is lower than they would like and lower than they would expect. But what they're really interested in is not so much their score, but we give them this detailed report with things that they can do to improve their product and improve their score, and therefore reducing their impact. And that's what they get. That's what they get really excited about is that report and what they can do. And to pick up on your point, Sebastian, it is 2022 and we're recording this podcast. It is crazy given all the conversations about us all wanting to be more eco-conscious. We had COP26 last year, and yet when we go shopping for pretty much any consumer product, we have no idea about the impact of that product. Have no sense. We can't compare products. And that's what we're really trying to solve for the consumer sense is, we really need to put the power of the choice in the hands of the consumer, make it easy for them, make it transparent. And that's what our technology does.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's what technology affords us to do, to be able to learn things that we didn't know, just as the world continues, to evolve. It's funny you tell me the story about being on vacation with your co-founders, and the conversation being blossomed out of a pool float. My brain automatically goes to like your next viral video ads, one of the founders laying on a sustainable pool float, asking questions or a play on words of what's the number one thing people say about products or services these days? Oh, that's terrible for you, or those are terrible for you. I mean, basically anything we're utilizing these days, nobody really knows whether it's a dish rag or the dish soap or a laundry soap, or don't use that vacuum cleaner. So it's kind of crazy. I think that's where the mass confusion is, at least for myself too. I mean, I'm always open to find out how I can contribute and play my part and role in helping the environment out here. But how you guys creating solutions like this, I think are going to make it the norm. And once it starts to become the norm, then that it becomes part of the everyday with people.
I agree. I think the one thing that we're really focused on is not making people feel guilty, because guilty is not a great emotion. I think that's sometimes where brands and businesses in the sustainability space go wrong, where they try and put too much emotional pressure on consumers. We're all human, we're all trying to do better, and we're just trying to help people do a little bit better. So I think we talked about it a while ago, Sebastian, people get overwhelmed with all the things they need to do in their lifestyle to become more sustainable. And sometimes that can make people paralyzed. So there's so much they think they should do, they end up doing nothing. So we really want to make it simple and easy and avoid the guilt trip, because consumption in itself is not bad. We all need to buy things. What's bad is overconsumption, but without the proper tools to know the impact of everything that you buy, there's no way for people to make better choices. So you can't change what you can't measure. We're giving consumers the first time the tools to be able to really measure their impact by giving them the tools to actually understand what they're purchasing.
Yeah, I mean, if you know that you can buy better light bulbs for your house and you're going to pay less for your energy bill and they're better for the environment, guess what? You'll probably pay an extra $5 for a light bulb. Those things or if, the ease of use, like removing friction from our lives based on technology. It's crazy to see how these two worlds are really colliding. I mean, my goodness, you can pull into the driveway of your house, turn all the lights on, open the front door, the garage door, and, start the microwave all from your phone these days. So, the next phase of that, I think, will be, how can we contribute back to the environment based on the ease of use that technology provides? So I don't know about you, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're right at the start of it. And I think we'll hopefully sit together in a couple of years' time, Sebastian. And the fact that we were talking about a time a couple of years ago where we were all shopping without understanding the impact will feel like a long, long time ago.
Right. It really does. And technology does speed things up quite a bit. So again, the time we're recording this, you guys are currently at CES in Las Vegas. That's a consumer electronics show. For those of you not familiar, what are you guys broadcasting and evangelizing at CES this year with Dayrize?
Yeah, it's really the launch of our products. So we've been live now So the business is a couple of years old, and like in any startup world, it took us a couple of years to develop the technology, and so it's really quite complex. So we've only just launched, and we're based in Amsterdam, so we're a European business, and we've really got proof of concept and delivered product market fit in Europe, and now we're bringing it over to the US, and so this is really the launch of the technology in the US. So CES, we were lucky enough to be invited to come to CES and display our technology. So that's what we've been doing this week is really talking to big retailers and big brands in the US, and had some really great meetings over here to try and bring the technology to the US in 2022.
Amazing. What a great platform to launch on. It's game time officially here. And then, taking your proof, you got a proof of concept. It worked there. Why wouldn't it work here? So I'm extremely encouraged by our conversation and by the entire idea and concept of what you guys got going on with Dayrize. The world needs more solutions like this where we can leverage technology to both educate, motivate, and differentiate the solutions that are readily available to everyone out there. But you guys are making sure that's done on the B2B side by helping them provide the solutions, and also on the B2C side by helping consumers really understand what this whole world of environmental friendliness really, really means. So keep up the great work.
Thanks, Sebastian. Really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. The pleasure has been all mine. And for those of you that want to learn more about Dayrize, all of their information is going to be available in the show notes. That's the description of this podcast episode, if you're not familiar. So make sure that you connect with them. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, holy cow, this is a solution my business needs, well, you're going to be able to connect with them too. And consumers, well, they're going to be able to help you better understand what's possible with this as well. So, well, friends, this does it for another episode of the Grit Daily Startup Podcast. I sure do appreciate your time, Austin. I look forward to watching Dayrize continue to unfold and succeed with what you guys have set out to do.
Thanks. Hopefully we'll speak in a couple of years.
Yes, absolutely. I'll see you at the top.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Sebastian.
Amen. Until next time, friends. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Grit Daily Startup. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get updates as new episodes become available. This podcast is brought to you by gritdaily.com, the premier startup news hub. More information at gritdaily.com. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian Rusk. Until next time, friends.